Hello everyone, welcome back to Raising Vibrations. We're doing chart of the day for the 14th of November 2015, Paris attacks. This is an interesting chart, to be honest. I know that in most of Australia the time's already passed. I know that most of Europe the 14th is already gone. So I'm not looking to create information about how to look the day. I'm just really analyzing the nature of what has transpired in terms of astrological archetypes. This is kind of an interesting one for me as well, because I really want to use this opportunity to tap into some of the stuff that is existing, not only on a more esoteric level, to be able to also get us to recognize what I'm talking about when I say South Node of Uranus, collective trauma, Virgo Pisces axis. You know, a lot of the material that I've created over the last at least 5 to 6, no, a little bit less, maybe 3 weeks, has been incredibly focused on bringing into the consciousness or into conscious awareness about the nature of our collective trauma, and that we don't need to focus on it as much as I think we should, but I definitely think that it is a part of our DNA structure that needs to, in some way, shape, or form, either be honored or healed through recognizing what it is and making new choices and old circumstances that heal that. So without any delay, have a look at the chart of the day. And I've looked at some reports that have been drawn up by certain astrologers or astrologers in general regarding what they felt. Two particular astrologers that I felt were hitting something that I believe to be quite true, and that is this relationship that Mars hits the nodal axis. Sol and Maurice Fernandez were talking about that, actually, and I really liked their awareness that they were bringing towards the symbolism. That what they were saying was that whenever, you know, the Mars itself, the archetype of new direction occurs for us, but generally also the energy of, you know, anger or suppressed anger in that way comes about and it hits a nodal axis, there's generally something within our collective field that occurs where there is something like the Paris attacks today. And, you know, firstly, I suppose before I go ahead and, you know, speak about what my thoughts are over here, anybody that knows any person or is a part of that experience in itself, I really do feel for you, and I hope that you're spending time with people that are dear to your heart, and that you're in a space where you are in some way, shape, or form connecting to some of the pain that is existing there. I know for a fact that the reason why I've called it false evidence appearing real is because there is stuff that's happening behind the scenes that is being done specifically to create certain stuff. I won't go into that because that's not what this chart is about or this conversation is about, but for anybody that has been affected by this, my heart goes out to you, and deep compassion. I have no idea what that must be like, but, you know, just the experience in itself is terrifying. So I hope that you are finding yourself aware and okay today. So again, just coming back to this Mars conjunct the North Node stuff, for anybody that really is still struggling to understand what the nodal axis talks about, it's the subtle emotional body that exists within our energetic field. And that means that when we are moving through our lives and we are sensing, when we are literally experiencing stuff, and the choices that we make when we go through our lives or in our days is based on how we respond to our reality, how we emotionally respond to our reality. So the nodes are how we are essentially moving in this time space in our lives, and we are making subtle adjustments to our reality that over a long period of time becomes the way that we actually see change in our life. So it can be related to a DNA formation, how we process that. And if you want a clearer understanding of what that means, I've got a video called DNA Repair Lunar Nodes. A link will come up in the top over here. Check that out. Okay, so Mars connecting to that obviously is putting us in the situation, where there's a clear direction here. There's a clear opening up of the emotional body within every single person on the planet at this stage. And this is a really, really big deal, because for many of us, we're trying to really understand. We're scouting YouTube. We're trying to understand from different astrologers what Saturn square Neptune's about, what Neptune in Pisces is all about, and what Chiron in Pisces is all about, especially Chiron opposed Jupiter. And look at this here, Neptune, and it's making a quincunx to Mars, Venus, and the nodal axis itself. Not necessarily the nodal axis yet, but it is in a very close formation. These are really, really tough aspects. Okay, these are not aspects that are harmonious in any whatsoever. So you're dealing firstly with an opposition, Chiron in opposition to Jupiter, right? So the collective wounding regarding Chiron is that feeling of abandonment from God. And when I use the word God, I simply mean it in the sense of the abandonment of your own spiritual reality, your own spiritual nature. This is why we pray when we're in situations that appear to us as if all hope is lost. But what we're not actually recognizing, and this unfortunately has occurred through like a large period of time that we have been experiencing spiritual darkness for, is that collective wounding in Chiron is held through the non-understanding that there is boundaries in our consciousness, and in our consciousness, that boundary that we experience or is a limitation. So what we do is we experience a circumstance or a situation occur to us, and then we don't transcend that boundary, Neptune, Pisces, etc., or spiritual surrender to. When we don't transcend it, we feel closed off. We feel karmically blocked. It feels alienation, like there is a sense of alienation. And over a period of time, we assimilate into our own energetic field, right? Our own energetic center, this abandonment. Okay. So Chiron is that wounding that we carry with us. And this is a big deal. Chiron's got a lot of energy associated with it. I'm busy working with it at this stage. I did do a video on Chiron to a certain degree just recently, and it talks about that, but I will be expanding on that a lot more. So anyway, just to kind of put this back into perspective here, we're definitely looking at the betrayal and loss and abandonment. It's, let's transmute that. It's pain. Okay, it's non-understanding, it's harm, it's sadness, it's emotion that has been displaced. All these types of things that are occurring with us. And it leads to fear, right? It's pure darkness. And if you really, really want to try and understand what's going on with Chiron, you've got to tap into the sort of esoteric teachings around the nature of realm dynamics. This is the association with vortex of energy. So I'm going to stop there for a second. So again, the pain, the human suffering, okay? It's opposed Jupiter, so of course there's going to be a polarity here. Of course there's going to be this you did that, so therefore this must be the response. And so the biggest thing that we can take from this experience is three things. One, that Mars conjunct that North Node has triggered off something within ourselves that requires the necessity for deep healing. So Mars conjunct North Node, right, triggers it off. Mars, the North Node then moves into Virgo, Pisces, which again, you need to watch that Healing the Collective Trauma video that I created that will teach you about that, what this node is about, what that axis is about. So it's hitting that off. And now all of a sudden, within our collective field, within our collective reality, we've got this awareness that's now present with us. It's in our face. We're dealing with it. Okay. Then the next thing here, let's just go back to this, the Sagittarius Pisces axis, okay, the connection, and Saturn and Neptune. So Saturn's boundaries, Neptune dissolving. Sagittarius belief systems, Neptune the totality of everything. So what you have here is this incredible, interesting dynamic playing out where religion, and if you want to really be honest with yourself here and honest with the nature of reality, You've got to understand that religion in itself, as much as it serves as a purpose to support a certain percentage of people on the planet to understand feeling safe, it is not created for that entirely. It is a control mechanism. That's why many people that have got strong Capricorn in their chart, strong Virgo in their chart, etc., will come through with lifetimes of experiencing, a deep association with judgment and criticism and a feeling of sense of lack. And so that comes through the belief system of separateness, that is essentially through Pisces. So the square that's taking place between Saturn and Neptune at this point in time is dissolving that boundary where we are unifying ourselves. However, here's the problem. The problem is that the false evidence appearing real. The thing that we've got to understand about this dissolving of reality and unifying consciousness and love is everything, is that it's still a polarity. It's still a polarity. Like, for instance, the person, the terrorists, false of evidence, the terrorists, okay, because if you understand what Hollywood is completely, you'll understand what's actually going on here, okay, are creating this thing. So therefore, in response, we then are polarized because now we apply it with love, but there's a part of us that is polarized from the love because of the feeling of hate that is occurring deep within ourselves of how could this happen? This is a tragedy. So my response needs to be in love of this certain thing, but yet there's still a polarity. We are not balanced. And this is what this quincunx is talking about here, or at least these symbols in Libra. It's like we need to pay attention to the balancing act here that's occurring. We can't bounce or oscillate between two extremes. It's like fear, so therefore run away from it, certain circumstances. Or we find ourselves in a situation where this is occurring, okay, love, everything of the sort, but then we just suppress the emotion. Like, we have to confront the emotion. Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio. We have to confront this. This is where the losses come from in this situation. So there's a necessity here to really step up to the plate and go, okay, what is actually going on? What is really, really happening here deep down inside, from in the underbelly? Scorpio's asking us to take away all the colors and to see it in black and white. This is a situation where we live in a world where there is a tendency, well, not a tendency, but a clear distinction for manipulation, okay, Scorpio, of the masses through creating circumstances and situations in our world that allow us to respond in ways that creates a divide. Because now it's all of a sudden it's ISIS versus this, and even if you read the newspaper stuff, there will always be people's perspectives, and each of them in some way, shape, or form will be angled a certain way to create a certain perspective, and that will then be what people subscribe to. So the depth of what we're dealing with over here is not simply like, fluffy stuff. You know what I mean? It's hard evidence that we need to understand that as we sit in this situation, the reason why we are responding to the world that we do, the reason why we understand it in the way that we are, is because there has been a huge divide within our collective, and a large majority of that divide is still being perpetuated today. There is no difference between religion 300 years ago and today. It just looks different. And so that's why I'm saying that this chart over here has got interesting aspects, and this interesting aspect is the balancing point, the extremes, being overwhelmed by the situation, applying deep compassion. I mean, look at it. It's the truth. The deep compassion, the sense of deeper meaning in life is really being asked here. But at the same time, there's also the illusions in Neptune, in Pisces, disinformation, creating people diversions. What is actually going on behind the scenes? How do we push agendas through? Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio. I mean, we've just gone through an entire Saturn in Scorpio transit where a lot of us have become aware of shadow government and stuff like this. So when we're looking at the reality that we're seeing outside of ourselves, and this is why I'm saying to you, the reason why I'm approaching the chart of the day this way is because we've got to understand that our consciousness, when externalized, when we place it outside of ourselves, we are not interacting with it as it is within ourselves, obviously, right? That's clear. So there is a natural duality, which means that it's open to interpretation. So whatever it is that we are observing based on what we're seeing through our Facebook feeds, through anything of the sort, we've got to really analyze Virgo, discern Virgo, be able to understand what is my direct experience of it versus what has been told to me through sources that might have an agenda that we don't really know about, because we're not paying. We think that the world is just a fantastic place full of love beings. It's not. So this is a chart where there's a necessity for analytical behavior. There's a necessity for observation and correlation. There is a necessity for curiosity and digging deeper. But then there's also that absolute need to understand that at the bottom of all of this, there is also an opportunity to, what I would say, tesseract it, which is to transmute the energy that is the pain into positivity, like to bring a sense of openness to the situation, to heal some of the collective trauma that we've got. I've got the moon situated here with regards to this angle, this what's the word I'm looking for? Arrow. And I drew the chart for the 13th when this occurred, and the moon was actually at 16 degrees Sagittarius. Now, for any of you guys that have watched some of my videos, and particularly the Virgo Pisces Healing Collective Trauma video, you'll notice that I spoke specifically about the south node of Uranus. Okay, the south node of Uranus is situated between 11 and 16 degrees Sagittarius. It situates there. Now, each planet has a south node and a north node, right? Because everything evolves through Trinity. So what I'm trying to say here is that the nature of this south node will be evolving based on the natal planet. So the natal planet's in Aries. The ruler of Aries, of course, is Mars. And so therefore we have this repeating theme again of Mars conjunct south node, Mars conjunct north node, instigating and activating Uranus in Aries, which then comes back to where Uranus south node has been. So let's not get worried about how that symmetry is going. Let's understand that there's a direct correlation to this event happening at a point in time that would trigger off humanity's collective trauma regarding the south node of Uranus, which is very, very simple. It situates in Sag. So it's our trauma regarding our boundaries. Like, we have borders and boundaries that separate us. We have racism through skin color that separates us. We don't see each human being as somebody that has been born through the womb. Okay, we see humanity based on their own collective trauma, and then we judge that in accordance with that. We segregate. We all are victims to this, or not victims to this situation, but we all are part of this experience. So if we're really going to analyze the situation completely, we've got to recognize that as much as we are sending energy towards Paris, and we are using this opportunity to really uplift the spirits and do group meditations and all these types of things, we've also got to start to recognize where the duality is existing within ourselves and how we maybe have created within ourselves, like as in analyze you, because all is self. This must be understood. All is self. So everything that is existing existentially from your perspective is happening within. So therefore, the analytic behavior is to analyze within yourself where those dualities are existing, where that separation is existing, and allow the external environment to trigger off where it is existing within, so that that can be healed through self-acceptance and realization. Because if you're not going to assimilate the information within yourself, then you're not actually spiritually evolving, period. And that's the point. The point of everything in terms of governmental structures, etc., from one degree, is to lead a populace of people where they have the inability to understand how to govern themselves, but also to be able to create an agenda that pushes you to keep your consciousness outside of yourself and not inside of yourself. You're not climbing Jacob's ladder. You're not moving up the spine. You're not incarnating yourself. You're just following certain distractions. So the question becomes, what is occurring at this stage? What are the synchronicities? So we have this experience happen. We read the news. We understand that France in itself has responded negatively towards the UN, not the UN, but America. They don't want to deal with certain, I've got all the information, and I'll put it in the description below. Certain political actions that have been taken by France has also created this circumstance and situation. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we're not really paying attention to, because a lot of our attention, okay, is focused on the stuff that has caused trauma, that has created trauma within ourselves, that is allowing us to focus on who did it, who's the blame game. And we're not actually paying attention to the actual stuff that's occurring beneath the surface. Okay? Right, everyone. I really hope that you enjoyed this chart of the day video. I know it's a little bit different to the usual things. I really hope that you're enjoying the content that I'm bringing you at this stage. I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that I feel really this is who I am naturally. This is how I operate. So the way that I've communicated this over here is for us to really recognize, as much as being on planet Earth is about enjoying ourselves, there is a necessity for taking certain things seriously, especially when it comes to this. So again, as I said before, I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you're interested in understanding more about the esoteric agenda regarding this actual this experience, this Paris attack, there is a video that I'll link in the description, and also to the top of this one over here. You can go to that right now. That is called the manipulation of the unified field, and that is a very, very deep video that explains in depth what's actually occurring here from a more esoteric perspective. So if you're interested in that, the links will come up right for you now. And other than that, have a fantastic day, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.